I remember Joachim said, "You really looks like you were gasping for breath there, Jack. Well done." I was like, I was, I was dying, Joachim.
I was drowning.
I was drowning. I was literally drowning.
What's going on, everybody? It's Ted again with the Countdowns to the Geeks, and I got another special interview for you guys. Joining me from the brand new film, The Last Breath, is Jack Parr and Kim Spearman. How you doing, guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. You guys must be exhausted. This film looks like it took so much effort to make. Let's just start off right off the bat. This is a film that I believe is mostly filmed not just in water, but submerged. Did you guys have any experience doing anything like this before?
Only stills work underwater. I've done a bit of free diving, nothing like professional, but like more hobby stuff with a couple of family members who also free dive. So yeah, nothing to this extent. I'd only ever done like one little scuba diving session once. So yeah, this was pretty intense.
Jack,
Yeah,
what about you?
I'd never been scuba diving before. I was a lifeguard when I was 18, so I'm kind of familiar with water, but never been scuba diving. It kind of freaked me out. Kind of didn't like the idea of relying on one oxygen tank for your life. I was like, not for me. But when I got this audition through, I thought, oh, this is a lifetime experience. This is once in a lifetime, man. I thought if I can get this, this would be an experience. So
You
yeah.
challenge yourself. I like that. I appreciate that. That sounds really awesome. Not also bad filming in Malta for 9 weeks. How was that like?
I mean,
That
that
was
was
awful.
I could do
That
that
was
again.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, we did the interiors in Belgium, and then all the exteriors were out in Malta for like the last couple of weeks, which was insane. I mean, the ocean there is crystal clear and just stunning.
Mm.
So the director talked about putting you guys through an extensive underwater training. Talk to us about that. What was that like?
Oh, that was, I mean, yeah, that was amazing. I mean, I just said like it's imperative. I think now looking back, if we didn't do that, I think it would have damaged the film
Mm.
because one, they taught us how to scuba dive, which was, kind of needed that. But most importantly, like we all bonded so fast together because we went through it together. We went through the training. So by the time we got to filming, we all were really good pals, and it shows in the
Mm.
film. You really recognize it. When you're seeing these guys hanging out, you're like, I can tell these guys know each other. That was a godsend, and I think that it was a good investment from the film and smart. What do you think,
Yeah, they
Kim?
took us through so many scenarios as well. They took us to an actual shipwreck. They took us cave diving.
Oh
They
my
took us
gosh.
nighttime diving. So you've got to have each other's back in that scenario. And like each day they buddy us up with a different person. And also because most of us did, I think, good pretty much everything. There's like three shots basically where it's not us stunt double in the whole film. So each of the cast members did all the diving pretty much. So during that training process, they were able to take us through on a very, very controlled, like very shallow kind of side. Okay, this is what it's going to feel like for the day. This is what it's going to be like, which was very helpful.
I
Yeah.
believe so. Cave diving, going through a shipwreck during your training. I don't think I'm claustrophobic, but I feel like I wouldn't be able to handle that. You ever get that sensation of like claustrophobia going through that training?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I get locked in a bathroom and I'd probably freak out. So my husband sort of said to me, "How can I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'll figure it out. I've got this." Um, but yeah, I think it was just so exciting that you kind of that sort of goes out the window. And the dive team was incredible. They were very like relaxed, very almost like meditative in their approach, and sort of kept everything calm. There was no pressure to like if you didn't want to do the cave, you didn't have to. It's fine. So I think being on that playing field where you were in control of everything, it was a really good spot to start from.
Yeah, I
I
think having those people, like you said, the dive team made you feel at ease because you're like, we've got serious professionals like having our backs. And like once one person did it, because that way you don't have to do the cave dive if you don't want to. Like, we would go and swim up into an air pocket and you'd be squeezing through like tiny gaps to get to this air pocket. And if you get stuck in there, it's hard to kind of use the buddy system to help each other out because it's so tight.
Sure.
Once one person does it, kind of the next person's like, oh, I'm doing it. And then it kind of goes up and up and you're like, okay, and we all did it and it's great. But yeah, it is there were some kind of things that freaked us out, but we got through it all, you know.
All right, I'm not going to get into any kind of spoiler details or story details, but this film does include some very aggressive sharks in the water. Do either one of you have somewhat of a fear of sharks? Kim?
I mean, I think I've got a healthy respect and fear of the ocean. I love the ocean, but I respect it. Like I'm not gonna,
Well
and
said.
sharks, and yeah, I mean, I've done a bit of scuba diving in Cape Town since, and I actually had a bit of a diving incident where I kind of went with a new place that I'd never been before, and we went out and had seen some baby sharks. I was like, wow, that's amazing, and sort of having a look, and then I kind of turn around and everyone had gone, so I was like, oh cool. Kind of hope Mama Shark's not around. Sort of just I was like, okay, we're gonna just stay calm, just chilled at the bottom, put my knees on the floor, like just wait till someone comes back, and luckily they did. So I felt like if I hadn't had the 2 months of training on the film, I probably would have had an absolute meltdown.
You said Cape Town is where you were swimming,
Yeah.
which is like known for just the largest sharks in the world. That's
Those are
just
the big sharks.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jack, what about you? Any
I
healthy
mean,
fear or anything?
it annoys me when people say they're not scared of sharks, and it also annoys me when people go, "Oh, you know that like, there's not actually that many shark attacks." I'm like, "Hey man, dogs are the friendliest things on planet Earth, and even they sometimes turn on you and bite you. And this thing is like the scariest thing in the ocean. It's got a pointy nose, it's fast as hell, and it's got about 100 sharp teeth, and it could turn on you at any point." I'm like, yeah, I'm scared of that thing. Why would you not? And the people who say they're not scared, I'm like, okay, let's go test that fear, shall we? Let's go stick you in the water with a big old great white or a bull shark, and we'll see. We'll
Oh my
see.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
I'm petrified of sharks, man. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm sort of like I'm between you and Kim. I got a healthy respect, and also I just don't want to see one in open water, and we'll leave it at that. Yeah. This must have been real challenging to act and perform while having very little of your face actually visible. What are some of the tips or strategies you guys kind of had to come up with to really get your performance out there wearing these, oversized scuba masks?
I think generally with screen work and film work, it's a lot more subtle, obviously, than theatre. But with this, with the mask and that, and being in water, and how the water is slowing your body down, having that, you have space to be a lot bigger, and especially with your eyes, it's so close. And for us, it generally was that dark down there. So I couldn't, like, if me and Jack are in a scene and he's opposite me, chances are I couldn't really actually see his face anyway. So it was kind of like there was a lot of compensating and like sort of pushing way more than you usually would on camera to sort
Mm.
of get it to read, I think.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, like I loved watching Tom Hardy in Dunkirk and in Batman Bane, where he's like got his
Yeah.
face. And like I was just trying to tell myself, just trust that it will read, like because it's all, people say it's all through the eyes. Like if you're feeling it, if you can really believe it, then the audience aren't silly. They'll know what you kind of trying to portray or convey or whatever. And also when it's blown up on a freaking cinema screen, your eyes are this big, so you can really see what they're thinking. So I was just trying to say, like, it's okay, man. Like you've done the work, you've done the prep. Like trust that the audience are gonna feel what you're feeling. And I think we did a good job, considering that. I think when I watched the movie, I totally read it all. And I also don't get confused when with characters. I'm like, that's Arlo, that's Kim, that's Erin. And that's probably biased of me because I spent so much time with them, but I hope that the audience also are like, oh no, no, we recognize who's who in this.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree with that completely. Definitely. Technically speaking, did you guys was the audio that is played during the movie, is that live from when you guys are underwater, or is that done in post, like
So
pre-record?
it was a combination. So all
Okay.
the masks that we were using had comm systems in them, so we could talk to each other underwater. But the problem was, and I think, I mean, I might be wrong in saying this, but I feel like it was the first time someone had tried to hook that many actors up and record perfectly underwater at the same time. And so for us, what would happen is there would kind of be someone would drop out. So we'd film a scene and I might be able to hear Erin's character Riley or Arlo's character Logan, but I wouldn't be able to hear Jack or Alex. It would very much pick and choose its moments to work, which is interesting when you're trying to shoot a chaotic scene. So a lot of it was afterwards that, you know, it's kind of like, we got some post work to do. Like,
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Not at all. Like sometimes we wouldn't have comms. I remember saying to the sound guy, you know,
Wow.
hey man, is this going to be fixed at any point? And he was like, look, this is relatively new technology. Like, not we don't do this on every movie, so we're just like trying to hook up mics into your masks. Like, we also don't know how to do it. So
Wow.
sometimes we didn't have comms, and so I'd just see Kim go this. I'd be like, I think she stopped talking. I think it's my line because they could still record, but we just couldn't hear each other. So we'd wait for someone to like look like they stopped talking and then we'd do our line. But you know, it was difficult. It was difficult acting in that situation.
So challenging. You brought up Tom Hardy earlier as Bane.
Mm.
I remember a story. Christian Bale and Tom could not kind of discern what the others were saying because his face was covered and it's also loud. So they would subtly point, like down by their hip at one another whenever it was like the next guy's turn to speak a line. Did you guys have to do sort of something like that, similar?
I think there's a particular scene that I can think of where Alex's character Brett, I knew it was my line because he sort of mined the boat. And then I was like, right, he said that line. It's me
Yeah.
next.
And I remember one in particular that I remember is when me and Erin do this scene. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but we scene together. It's just me and her, and there's something going on in the background. And I remember saying to her, "I'm going to squeeze your arm when I say this line because the comms there was all five of us in this scene, and our comms wouldn't work. I think if we got close to each other, we could shout through the masks like, "Can you hear me? I'm going to squeeze your arm. You know when I say my line." And she'd be like, "Okay." So
Is
yeah, there
it
were squeezing arms and kind of all that sort of stuff.
is that at any point in time frustrating as an actor, or are you guys just kind of going along with the absurdity of the technology not working, so you guys are just in it no matter what?
I mean, you can't stress about it. Like, it is what it is. There's always, whether it's underwater or not, there's always some sort of challenge you in filmmaking. That's fine. And I think it was also just kind of funny sometimes, and just it was completely absurd. Like
Yeah.
when you really thought about the situation. And as well, on top of that, we might not be able to hear each other, but there was a speaker, an underwater speaker, which we could hear
Ah.
Joachim, our director, on. So it'd be the chaos of like we can't actually talk to him, but he's like saying stuff over the speaker. We're trying to figure out, and it's yeah, you gotta have fun with it, I think.
I
That
probably
net
came as a really dumb actor at the start because like I'd be with my coffee and my waffles talking to the sound guy like, hey man, like is this like sound thing gonna be like fixed at any point? And I'd ask him like every day and it just didn't change. So after like a week I was like, okay, I think I've just got to put up with this.
He actually ran away from the coffee machine when he saw you coming over in the morning, I think, Jack. So
It's
bye.
about the sound again.
You know what? That never even crossed my mind. You want to collaborate and talk to your director and get notes from him, but most of the time you guys are filming underwater. How long of a period of time would you say would you be shooting like underwater nonstop or
Was it
hours
About
at a time?
45 minutes, I think, an hour max.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
for an hour and
As
then
soon
we'd
as
have
the air started to get low, I think.
we would just check. Yeah, we just change tanks.
Yeah.
We go shoot a scene or two, then come back up. And Joachim had this blue underwater speaker, so he could blast out direction on the speaker, but we couldn't speak to him. So we just have to do this in front of the lens, like, yep, got it, And so we were just kind of it kind of was difficult in that aspect. Like you said, you couldn't reply to the director or ask him any questions, so it was
Wow.
difficult.
You guys are troopers, man. I can't imagine doing that. Wow, it's amazing. I
Yeah.
also wanted to ask because I think both your characters, again, not getting into any details, but I believe both your characters at one point are without scuba tanks. So are those scenes even more challenging because you're just relying on holding your breath, I assume, or is there just like a
Yeah.
oxygen like in your hand off camera that we can't see?
So for the interiors, safety divers can be off camera when you're ready. But the thing is about the interiors, they built this incredible shipwreck in this big tank, but it's not like you could just swim up. There's like structures on the top. So to get up, you have to kind of swim down a corridor and then up. It wasn't like, oh, I'm panicking, I'm out of here, bye. So yeah, but luckily we were at a depth that you could just grab the air. When I was shooting, there's a without spoiling, a particularly long dive for me in the film, which we shot out in Malta, but because of the depth we were at, I couldn't have any air. And I remember getting down to, I think it was 10 meters and
Oh my
getting down to the
God.
bottom and getting into position, and I just see them kind of fiddling with the camera a little bit, and I'm like, guys, are we good? Like, I'm so ready. And before you have to sort of slowly surface again. But yeah, because once you're down there, you can't have air because it's not compatible with something for when the pressure when you go back up. That was not
My
very technical.
goodness. Yeah.
No, that was you did that, Kim. I thought you was like on the oxygen tank at the bottom.
I did that. I did all that myself. Thank you.
Look, me and Kim have both had, no oxygen scenes. I don't want to spoil it, but I was jealous of Kim because she was, she's obviously got free diving experience. So Kim was just like down there with no oxygen, just forgot that she was even, no oxygen hooked up. She'd just like forget. Me, I was in major panic mode. Like 2 weeks before my scene, I was laid in on my, in the green room floor doing apnea training. You know, apnea training? It's like the free divers kind of use it
Okay.
to expand their time limit of the breath. I got up to about 2.5 minutes holding my breath, so I was really excited to do the scene because I was like, 2.5 minutes, man. But as soon as you start one, swimming, using oxygen, it's two, acting, using your brains, using oxygen, anxiety, panic, it all uses oxygen. So as soon as I started seeing, I was like, I'm gasping for a breath. And it was for real, man. Like for real, I was like scared. And it's dark down there. Like Kim said, there was a ceiling. You can't just go straight up there. Like there was a ceiling to our, studio. So swimming around, scrambling around in the dark with no mask, no oxygen.
I think you
Kind of
had the most to do during that as well, which, like you say, takes out so much out of you. And you had, again, no spoilers, but you had so much to do within that moment that I think I remember watching you on like the video village, and we're all just kind of like, even though it's gonna be fine, but like, yeah, the pressure was real.
I remember Joachim said, "You really looks like you were gasping for breath there, Jack. Well done." I was like, I was, I was dying, Joachim.
I was drowning.
I was drowning. I was literally drowning. So,
Oh man, I don't know what to say. You guys put we started the conversation with it looks like a lot of effort was put into this, and I could not fathom all of this. So we appreciate all your hard work, the entire cast, the entire crew on this film. It's thrilling. It's suspenseful and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Whoever the cinematographer is, I need to look them up. They did
right.
an incredible job. Jack, Kim, thank you so much for joining me here today. The Last Breath is in select theaters and on video on demand on July 26th. Please check it out and appreciate you guys.
Oh, thanks, Ted.
Thank you so much.